Dude, I remember I asked you a long time ago, like, what one of your most, like, when you're into the shit, one of the most moments where, like, you were fucking uneasy with stuff. And you said that I think you were in Queens waiting for Ill Bill.
No, it was in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn? Yeah, so that was, so you were saying, like, because he's investigative journalist.
No, I was just.
I'm not saying.
I wasn't doing investigating.
I know that now. I'm saying, but you've done some shit. And like that, you were like, yeah, I didn't feel good about that one.
I mean, I don't. From what I remember, and I just, God bless Bill. I worship Bill and his brother Necro, and of course, I wrote the nonfiction book with Bill years after this incident, which you don't bring up with Bill because. But basically, it was like I went to interview him for his solo album, "What's Wrong with Bill," at a show at at Southpaw in Park Slope, right? And man, the whole crew was out, like Mr. Hyde, the whole thing, and he it was the craziest thing. Like he was so volatile that I was like, hey, a little nerdy me. I'm like, I'm here to do an article about your solo album, and he got mad at me because I wasn't writing about the nonfiction album. Like that was like the beef, and I swear, my partner to tell you, she was there. He was going to kick my ass, and somebody came in and was like, yo, Bill, we have beef outside. And he literally went outside and put his fist down someone's fucking throat. He just needed to get out of his system. He's totally fine after that. Killed, great show. Can't get me out of it. Couldn't, even the threat of a fucking beating couldn't get me out of a... I mean, Necro, who's, I want to say, of course, they've done a lot of great stuff together, but separate from Bill. I mean, I don't think I've ever been to a Necro show where he beat the shit out of at least one person in the audience, and boy, do they want it. I didn't want it. A shot from Bill is a fucking something you deal with for your entire life. But anyway, great guy, and I'm much more relaxed now, though not on record.
When you when you started doing this whole thing, and like it started to pick up a little bit of steam and traction and shit, like what was the moment, the interview, the moment, the time, the place that you were like, holy shit, like I'm actually doing this fucking thing. Like this isn't like a hobby anymore. This is really me.
I guess that's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna kind of flip it a little bit, but I will say that's especially since we're in Massachusetts now. My interview with Terminology was a life changer for me. All you guys were really about your stuff. I'd never met somebody who had really given everything else up, except for their kid. And he was always a good dad. Always good dad gang, even before the hat.
I love
right?
the good dad gang.
But I could bring a tear to my eye. I mean, I went go to this apartment. And it was like, I don't want to make let's say the ceilings were like 5. Like I was ducking. Like only Terminology could walk around in there. And I'm not like it's true. Like he'll say it to himself. Like it was in the article. And like I'll never forget, man. The whole crew was in there. He has every Source magazine, and it was just an investment in craft that I'd never seen. And it also an indie hustle.
Shows.
We really take that indie hustle for granted now. I'm not dissing people who are doing it now, but what he was doing back then, he's put out like fucking more than 50 albums, I think, right? And he's always been on that, and he's, so that showed me, and I've actually written about this in a piece on Medium about 10 experiences with different rappers. That one was life-changing for me, and I guess it is answering your question, because for me, that was when maybe I had realized it was serious before, but never after that did I ever, even, not that everyone's as serious as term, but just the respect that I have for someone in their craft, and just that put them on that pedestal, that platform, because they deserve it, because that's a lot of work to record.
But you're as serious as term, and with your craft, and you've been doing it for just as long as term, and I've been in your house, and I've seen the fucking stuff. You literally collect magazines. I've seen you brought me through your house, and you were showing me how proud you were of, like, dude, I didn't give a fuck about. He's pulling these episode 1 of this magazine. I'm like, I don't fucking care, dude. He showed me like 10 of them, and they were dope. Don't get me wrong, but it's who the fuck you are in your blood. You know what I'm saying? Do you realize, like, do you ever take a step back? And I know you're a humble dude. And it's just the way that you are. You're not gonna. You've never taken credit for this shit as long as I've known you. Like, do you ever just sit back and like know how many lives you've affected and changed? Like, are you proud of that shit? Like,
no,
you just laughed.
Of course I am. Of course I am, because I wouldn't listen, man. It's not always easy to pay the bills, so there's got to be a payoff somehow, and that's what it is. That, and free weed often and stuff like that.
Yeah,
a lot of beers
but you've
over
made
the
a
years.
difference. Like if you were to ask terminology, if like he'd tell you that like when we were at George's rehab opening, like George said right to you, he's like, I want to go do this movie right now. He's like, you're part of my story. Like you are a big part of my story. Like, you know what I mean? Talking about Slain. You know, Chris is a big part of my story. Like he like legitimized between you and Ian, you guys like legitimized my dream. Like all of a sudden I'm not some fucking idiot that's like just, oh, I'm making this up. Like no, we can actually really fucking do this. You know what I mean? Like, and we're still doing it now. Like that never died. You know what I mean? But like you make a difference in a lot of people's lives. Like every time I'm with you anywhere, has nothing but respect across the fucking board. Like you've read his articles. Like all of us have. And like back then, dude, you had to like wait until Sunday came out to get the news for hip hop, because there was no fucking blogs. Or you waited a month for the source. That was it.
And I'll say, and it's sad that now there's just it's cliche almost, but it's like we're so oversaturated. But at the same time, there's nothing.
Nothing.
Where do you go for your local hip hop stuff? I mean, props to Billy Vega and to the Crypt and those who've been literally doing it, and Dart, who've been blogging for 25 years. We're fortunate to have people around, and I'll say like it's really crazy. There was a time I was never a big message board person, but for those who were, think about even like that, those communities.
That wasn't that long ago either.
No, those communities are kind of gone, and it was really short lived. We went from great long form journalism, but with a lot of gatekeepers, to kind of like having a lot of shit and a ton of blogs and a lot of action, to really very little now, and it's sad. Except there is social media, but to each their own. It's not the same.
Of all the things that you've done and been a part of through your whole run, like what are you the most personally proud of?
When we took over the Dig owed about $77,000 to writers and editors in back pay.
Okay.
Not including what I was owed, which is more than $20,000, which I'm not complaining. That wasn't factored in, right? So we paid back. It took years. But even though it wasn't our debt, we were also writers who were screwed. We paid all that money back. And that's on the for-profit. On the Dig side, simultaneously, we started the nonprofit to raise money to keep journalism going, even though if it's one article at a time with people who do it. So you asked the question, so I'll answer it. I try to be more humble than to always put it straight like that. But the truth is that I was writing books. I was doing a lot of more exciting stuff, and it's a lot of it was me retreating. I was an early victim of right-wing trolls. Well, I wouldn't say hopefully not a victim, because I fucking fought these motherfuckers back. But it's not a healthy way to live. And I have a kid now, and that.
I remember when you were going through your angry phase.
You can't
They hold
be
too much space.
Well, first of all, on the left, people, for better or worse, they don't form gangs. You're on your own.
Yeah.
You're on your fucking own. And on the right, somebody could be like, this guy's an asshole, and 10 million people attack me. And so I'm like, you're just on your own out there.
Yeah.
It's unhealthy. Also, like physically, who knows the dangers that lurk, and you can't live like that. That's the reason Andrew Breitbart fucking died of a heart attack after I got into an argument with him. True story. Look it up. I killed Breitbart. So part of me doing all that stuff I was talking about was because Jesus, to be in the fucking maintain a national profile as a reporter or whatever is absolutely grueling. You turn into a face on MSNBC that is just unrecognizable. It's like, what are you doing? I just didn't want my career to go there. I can always do that shit. I can always go and write books. I'm only 43, I think.
What do you want to do next?
I want to make this documentary. I want to make a big documentary. That's the extreme from going from not doing much video to it. I, of course, won't be holding the camera. This is going to be a big effort where I'll be in the writing, in the writer's room. But that's the next big thing.
Is that what you've always wanted to do? Just write? At the end of the day, it's always writing.
No, because it's got to be about something I enjoy.
Okay.
That I'm interested in. I've said it a million times, and true, I'd work in a restaurant any day before I wrote about medical devices. I don't care about writing that much. In fact, I never complain. I do around people I live with, but I try not to complain out loud because there's people who they make more money than me, but who move bricks for a living and have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Much respect. And everybody I know works in restaurants pretty much and stuff like that. So they actually work for a living. I pound keys. I try not to complain.
You're really good at it, man.
Sure, I appreciate it, but it is a fucking hassle.
Well, dude, I know. Dude.
I can't take it anymore.
So I hate writing.
Oh, do you?
I hate
really?
it.
You write for hours at a time.
I know, dude, but like same thing though. Like I dread.
I don't dread, but it's just.
And then but when I sit down and do it, once take, do it out, put it through spell check. All right, we're good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because I got it, but it's in me.
Let me tell you, I am a creature to the to-do list. I make one and I'll do it, and if I don't, I can procrastinate for months. Look at my fridge. Yeah, it's unbelievable, right? It is the cheapest, easiest,
there's 3 to-do lists over there.
Dumbest thing, and it's really, and I've kind of, but I'll intentionally go off it for 2-3 weeks and just kind of.
You gotta fucking get it right.
And sometimes I'll just, have a mental leave and just play video game hockey on my phone and watch.